What looks like a single bad trade on paper actually reads like a slow-motion unspooling when you sit with it long enough. 9 months ago, the Mavericks pulled the ripcord and swapped Luka Dončić away. Fast forward, and the team that made the finals is flirting with a bottom-of-the-West record. The bench is thinner than anyone imagined, and the front office just lost its leader. So now the job is open, and picking the right successor matters more than headlines. Who can steady the ship, shepherd Cooper Flagg, and make sure this franchise doesn't keep trading away its future for momentary theater? Let's be honest about why this moment exists. The trade that sent Luka to LA was always going to be stressful. It was supposed to buy a different kind of timeline. What it gave the Mavs instead was fragility. Stars who miss games, a cap structure that leaves no breathing room, and the loss of complementary players who could have carried the load when the top names were absent. When your core is drifting and the governor of the franchise starts asking hard questions about return-to-play protocols, trust erodes fast. That's the context any incoming GM must inherit. So who's the right person to take this on? Here are 5 very different fits, and why each could be the spark or the misfire. Bob Myers. The credibility play. If you want to rebuild the front office's legitimacy overnight, you hire a guy with championship stamps on his resume. Myers knows how to manage star egos, win in the moment, and structure long-term success. He's connected, respected, and understands the architecture of modern front office power. The downside, Bob's not taking a job unless the fit's perfect, and the Mavericks need someone who's willing to roll up sleeves immediately. Not just a fixer who returns the office's credibility card. Grant Hill. The brotherhood play. He's Duke, he's NBA royalty, and he's been a smart, respected executive in USA basketball. Dallas is Cooper Flagg's city now in every way that matters. Bringing in someone who already trusts and has worked with Flagg could accelerate the rookie's maturation. Hill has historic ties to the region and the credibility to recruit, but he's also comfortable where he is. And convincing a high-level executive to leave a stable role for a turbulent rebuild takes more than nostalgia. Dirk Nowitzki and Steve Nash. The nostalgia play. This one's emotional, almost cinematic. Bring back the guys who defined the franchise's best years and let them steady the franchise culturally. Nowitzki is the soul of the organization. Nash is a basketball mind. Installed together, they'd reboot fan trust immediately. The problem is practicality. TV gigs, advisory roles, and family lives complicate full-time executive commitments. Still, if the Mavs want optics and healing as phase 1, this is a direction that calms the room fast. David Griffin, the outside hire play. He rebuilt in Cleveland, won a title with LeBron, and understands hard rebuilds and messy reputations. Griffin is a guy who will do the hard administrative work, make the uncomfortable financial moves, and help reset scouting and analytics. He's pragmatic and experienced at reputation repair. The risk? He's been out of a top job for a minute, and the Mavericks need someone who can not only rebuild but do it under a microscope with a generational rookie already on the roster. Rich Paul, the bombshell play. This is outside the box, a super agent stepping into team leadership. Paul knows star players intimately, has leverage across the league, and could theoretically speed the roster's reconfiguration. But agents turn GM is a fragile experiment. Conflicts of interest, credibility questions, and a steep cultural shift. If the ownership wants shock value and an audacious pivot, Paul would be the headline. If they want steady governance and process-driven decisions, it's a bridge too far. Who's the right fit depends on what Dallas wants to be. Do they want credibility restored quickly? Hire Bob Myers. Want trusted veteran connections and a cultural reset? Grant Hill or Dirk Nash gives that. Need a pragmatist who knows rebuilds? Bring in David Griffin. Want disruption and star-first thinking? Rich Paul would shake the place up, for better or worse. But the candidate list is only part of the story. Whoever walks into that job must also do 4 boring but necessary things immediately. 1. Protect Cooper Flagg's development. He's the long-term reason people will care about this job a year from now. 2. Fix spacing and shooting depth. Bring back shooters who can survive when stars are out. 3. Rebuild the scouting apparatus so you don't trade away future options for short-term holes. And 4. Restore trust with the owner and the roster. If ownership feels like it needs front office babysitting, the GM's job is already compromised before the draft board opens. There's also a lesson in the messy trade history. Never put almost all your eggs in unavailable baskets. Building around injured veterans is a high-variance bet. It can work, but only if the front office retains flexibility to replace missing pieces. The Dončić trade taught teams a brutal lesson about timelines. If your future hinges on everything going perfectly, it will almost certainly go imperfectly. The new GM should be conservative with promises and aggressive with contingency plans. At the end of the day, this isn't a binary choice between bold names and safe hands. It's a culture question. Does Dallas want a fast, flashy return to relevance or a quieter, surgical rebuild that wins over the long haul? The fans want a headline, but the franchise needs patience with urgency, the weird, uncomfortable combination of short-term fixes and long-term scaffolding. So what's my take? The Mavericks should hire someone who can blend steely process with immediate credibility. A hybrid. A proven executive who can also talk to stars, protect a rookie's runway, and clean up the mess without panicking. That's rare, but it's out there. One last thought. A city never forgets its legends, but it forgives quick fixes even less. The right hire won't just rebuild a roster, they'll rebuild trust, and that's the only currency that matters when you're trying to recover from trading away a generational player. Dallas can rebuild. It won't be dramatic at first. It will be surgical, painful, and steady. And if it works, fans won't remember the shock of losing Luka. They'll remember the relief of having a team worth betting on again.